Hello everybody. This video is actually going to be an introduction and demonstration for both Investigations 0A and 0B for this class. So why is there an Investigation 0A and 0B? Well, the purpose of these two investigations, these first two investigations, is to just sort of get you familiar with the process of doing labs in this class, some of the tools we're going to be looking at, and some of the stuff that, unfortunately, the textbook kind of either assumes you know or takes it for granted. And so I just wanted to give you a few resources that you can then use for the rest of the class. So that's really what the purpose of these two labs are. There's not a whole lot in terms of actual demonstration that needs to be done. There's going to be videos for practically every other lab that I do in this class, but for this one, I'm just going to give you just a very quick overview of how to do the labs. I'm going to talk about the textbook for a second, and then you'll be free to just go ahead and do it. Okay, so the very first thing you want to do when you are ever doing a lab in this class, and you don't have to do all the labs at the same time, you can actually do a lab now, then go and work or go to class or do other things, come back, do the next lab, and so on. You can do those. You can do it that way. You don't have to do it all at once. But what you do want to do, once you've logged onto the course web page, you're going to click on Modules. And when you click on Modules, you'll see a page that looks just like this. And then what you'll do is you'll click on Introductory Lab, or Maps and Geography, or whichever lab you're going to work on. I strongly recommend doing Lab 0A and 0B before doing 1A and 1B. So make sure that you do 0A and 0B first. In fact, I strongly recommend going in the exact sequence because these labs do build on one another. So let's click open Investigation 0A. And the way that these investigations work is there are typically two things you need to have open. The first one is the textbook, and information on purchasing the textbook and accessing the textbook is actually given in this lab. But I will mention just right now, unfortunately in this class, the textbook is absolutely necessary. And the reason why is because all of the lab assignments that we do, other than 0A and 0B, come straight from the textbook. So all of the activities we do, this book is an activity manual. Now, with that said, it's very possible to make a friend or two in the class and work together and go in on the purchase of the textbook. And if you do that, the $84 it costs actually becomes a lot cheaper. And so that's what I strongly recommend doing, is partnering up with somebody and then either arranging to get together with them or work together or do it in shifts. Okay, you do these ones, then I do those ones. That's what I recommend doing. But for Investigations 0A and 0B, you won't actually be doing questions from the textbook. I will have you walk through the textbook a little bit, but you won't actually be doing questions from the textbook. With that said, though, one thing that you will be needing for every single investigation we do in this class is going to be what's called an answer sheet. So all of the questions that are asked in the textbook and also in these two introductory labs are asked in multiple choice form. And so what I want to do is give you something that is quickly gradable, it's easy for you to submit, and so the way that I've done this is I use Google Forms. And so for every single lab assignment, you will have a Google form. And the link to it will always be up here near the top. Answer sheet for this investigation can be found here. Click on that. And what you'll do is first you'll enter your email address. Some students have a habit of putting my email address in there. No, put in your email address. And the reason why is because after Module 1 is done, I can then email you the answers so that you have them to review for future modules and to check if anything's incorrect. I can't give you the answers beforehand because people are still taking the assignment. It's very easy for somebody to rig a key and pass it out. but put in your email address, not mine. Then put in your last name and your first name, and then go from there. And then each lab has several different sections to it. Most of the labs we do are going to have two sections, the introduction section and the applications section. And here's where you answer. This is actually where you input the answers to the questions, but the actual questions will be found in the textbook. Now, because investigations 0A and 0B aren't straight from the textbook, you'll actually be able to find the questions down here just by scrolling down. Now, of course, I would love to just copy all the AMS questions and throw them on here, but then that would be a copyright issue, and I can get in a lot of trouble, and the school can get in a lot of trouble. So everything down here, these are all questions that I wrote. Okay? And really all this first lab deals with is just giving you a little sense of some of the tools that we're going to be using in the class. So first I have you take a look at the textbook, the real-time weather portal. That'll be actually for practice quizzes. And then the answer sheets. And you always want to have the textbook and the answer sheet open, as well as the real-time portal, because sometimes you'll be asked to look at information on there. So you always want to have those three things open. Then down here, there's a few weather maps. I just want to give you a feel for how to read a weather map. There's nothing super intense here. And then just an introduction to some of the tools that we're going to use in this class. So the National Weather Service, De Anza College also has a weather station. And basically, And basically all I want you to do is just know how to read information on these pages, and there's going to be step-by-step directions on this lab that tell you how to do that. So that's really it for Lab 1A. There's not a whole lot of super tricky things to deal with Lab 1A. If you're following the directions here, you shouldn't have too many problems. Now, of course, if you do have a problem, something I really want to stress here, especially for this first lab, and just to kind of set this culture, like, never hesitate to email me, to come to my office hours, to come to the optional on-campus section or sessions. Never hesitate to do that. I want to help you and I want to see you succeed. So never hesitate to reach out for help. I'm here to help you. Okay? So now with that said, so that's investigation 0A. Now, because there's not a whole lot of demo that needs to be done with it, I'm also going to show you really quickly investigation 0B. So once you're done with 0A, you're then going to go to 0B. This is the second lab of the course, and as I mentioned, at the very top you'll usually see a video demonstration, and this is just going to be the same video demonstration as for 0A. And then the answer sheet, so you click on that to open up the answer sheet. But here, I just want to introduce you to some of the maps and tools that we're going to be using in the class. There's a lot of stuff that's covered in this class that involves looking at weather maps, and I just want you to be comfortable with just some of the basics. So the first thing, in this class, any map I ever give you, north will be on the top, south will be on the bottom, west will be on the left, east will be on the right. I'll never give you an upside down map, or I'll never give you any other kind of weird looking map. Like any map you see on the screen, north is at the top, south is at the bottom. And in case you're ever stuck with that, you'll always see an N for north on the left-hand side, or sometimes the right-hand side, but you'll see an N representing north and an arrow pointing in the direction that north is. Other tools, the textbook and the investigations in this class cover a lot of stuff about states. So they'll ask you, like, a weather system's present over what state? I know that if I was sat in a room and given a test on all 50 states, I probably wouldn't pass it. And so I just wanted to give you a map of the states so you have it quickly available to you. One of the other things that us meteorologists love to do, and this textbook loves to do, is not just refer to individual states, but to actually also refer to larger scale regions. So if you've ever heard of the Gulf Coast, that's the region down here by the Gulf Coast. Or the Mississippi Valley, this is the valley with the Mississippi River in the center. Or the Great Basin, or the Central Plains, or the Upper Great Lakes. You'll see a lot of these regions referenced in the textbook. And so I don't want to get you too caught off guard. I'd like you to at least have these maps handy. So download this image. It'll always be available under Files. Go to Files. You'll always see this map available to you. And there's a second map with a few additional regions, primarily mountain ranges. But I just want you to be comfortable with identifying each of these regions. You'll never have to do a closed book test on these. I just want you to just know how to use them. And so there's some questions down here that show that. The next thing I show is longitude and latitude. And there's a good demonstration or good description of longitude and latitude here. And a map that shows you how to find longitude and latitude. And then if you want additional demonstrations, there's also another little video that I posted here. A lot of people usually do just fine without a video, but if you need one, it's right there. And then an exercise. And then down here in the application section, I give you a map and I start asking you relatively simple questions about it. So for example, there's a high pressure here. I'm going to ask you, what state is that high pressure in? Or there's a low pressure here. What state is that low pressure in? What region is that low pressure in? Those are the kind of questions I'm going to be asking. One of the things I will mention real quick is I talk about in this lab irregularly shaped blue, green, purple shadings. I'm talking about this stuff right here. And this actually indicates precipitation. So if you've ever seen a radar image, either on the news or on one of your weather apps, and you see all that green stuff on the weather map, that usually represents precipitation, particularly here in the Bay Area, rainfall. Some parts of the nation, you can also see snow. But right here, this is just showing rainfall. This is just showing, this is just showing general precipitation. So that's what I'm talking about here. So when you see that irregularly shaped blobs, I'm talking about stuff like this. And I think that's all you really need to know for this lab. Otherwise, I just want you to be comfortable with reading weather maps. And that's it for investigation 0A and 0B. So, as I mentioned, if you have any problems, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help get you through these. All right? So, that's that. Welcome to Meteorology Lab. It's going to be a great quarter. I promise you it. A lot of people get really stressed out in the first week or so and they get scared. Don't be. This is like riding a bike. You may tip over once, but eventually you're going to get it and it's going to be awesome. So don't stress too much about these learning curves. That's what these first two investigations are for. All right? So that's it for right now. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me. Okay? Best wishes on these labs. And I'll talk to you soon.